when Mane walked out, he just started bursting his whole laughing because I was dressed as Kevin. Like, so that was like that was probably the highlight, is that Mane recognized me and started laughing, like really properly laughing. So he must have found it hilarious. So I love that.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Klopp was sound. He gave me a big hug. Like ran over and was like, "Oh, it's the man of the moment." Just absolute Klopp energy. He obviously just is exactly how he seems, you know. Really, really nice guy. I talked to Mo for quite a bit and made a bit of a faux pas.
Welcome to the Lockdown Life podcast. My name is Jamie Flynn. You can get in touch with me on Twitter at jam_fly. All podcasts are available on our YouTube channel, and while you are there, I would appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. Do you want to go viral? Do you want to create content that reaches tens of millions of people? My guest today will reveal exactly how you can achieve that. I'm joined today by Cork's biggest Liverpool fan, the comedian, singer-songwriter, Richy Sheehy, aka Kevin Murphy. Richy, welcome to the podcast.
What's the crack? How's it going? I never remembered promising to explain how you're going to go viral, but I'll do my best for sure, you know.
Yeah, we can give it a go. So I think you're definitely a great example of the kind of the modern example of what we know is kind of going viral now. Creating the song, the video, well over 20 million views, I think it got, was it?
Yeah, I mean, it got like you see, it's hard to really say because it's like there's Facebook views, but they're like, you know, nonsense 3-second views, you know. Which are hugely fluffed and stuff. Like I remember like around the time, about 2 months after it, I went on a mission to like find all re-uploads and things like that and count them up, and at that time I got to 94 million. Wow. And then I was just, but like a lot of that is Facebook. And then since then, you kind of always, when you see different accounts now re-uploading it like a year or 2 years later, you kind of always keep a general track, like.
Yeah.
So, but YouTube, I think the original has 5 million, and then the kind of re-release has, I think, 15 the last time I checked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, you don't really know what to make of numbers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose even, kind of more like anecdotally or whatever, just I said my kind of memory of it at the time was it hit any kind of viral benchmark you want to have. It hit all of them. It was just massive. Everyone knew what it was. Everyone was kind of talking about it. So it definitely, as far as I'm concerned, qualifies as officially went viral.
Oh yeah, no, it was insane. Obviously, at the time,
Yeah.
it was like, it's so wild, to be honest. It's, you know, because there's a lot of ones that were like, whoa, you know. I mean, I remember getting a video of them singing it at the fountain in Cork, and I was like, wow, the fountain at Cork, you know what I mean? And that was like probably one of the biggest things. But like there was like 2 girls on Babestation dancing to it. So I've officially been featured on Babestation, I can say.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. It was the same. It was like I think it was a tram or a train in Melbourne, somewhere in Australia anyway. And there was like kids in Australia. It was ludicrous, really, to be honest. It was.
Yeah.
Still don't know what to make of it. Like.
Yeah. I suppose kind of like prior to the song, you're creating content, you're making other videos and stuff. How much does that kind of whole idea of going viral play into your mind when you're kind of thinking about an idea or thinking about recording something? Is it something that's always in the back of your head?
That's a tough one. I not always, but sometimes, in the sense that there are definitely things that you think of and you realize it would have potential.
Yeah.
But then at the same, to go viral, and you might think it along those terms. You might think, okay, what would it need?
Yeah. So I've lost your audio there, Richy.
Sorry.
So yeah, sorry, you're back again there. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff I do that I like. I'm like, I know this is definitely not going viral, and I don't care. Like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I like prefer doing that might take even longer, but it's like something you particularly really like, and
Yeah.
that and then again though, that all kind of plays into it of like, you want to have like a back catalog that if people who are really into the humor you're into can see, so that you might actually have like you know, a better following rather than just random kind of flash in the pan things.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I said the I suppose the nature of kind of just like marketing in general and kind of mass appeal is that it has to be a very kind of specific thing. And as you said, if you want if like a lot of stuff, you know, sense of humor is definitely something that I think the more mainstream it goes, a lot of the time it kind of loses a lot of nuance or whatever. Joe, it's not the exact kind of thing you might want to create. Do you think is there content creators out there that are solely focused on just trying to hit the kind of the viral video and trying to create that kind of stuff?
Oh, it's an extreme amount. I mean,
Yeah.
if you just put out a lot of content, like it will get hits. Like if you're like following trending topics and you release content every day on that, like you'd have to be extremely bad to not get, you know, like some kind of traction. And if you're any bit okay, you'd get a lot of traction. But it's like how you kind of have to make sacrifices of
Mm.
like, what quality do I want to put out versus you know, it's like if you're putting stuff out daily, unless you have the time and you're doing it full time, and even then, because
Mm.
there's a lot of production and a lot of stuff that you would want to do, you know, it's hard. I mean, if you can set up kind of a platform where you're just recording videos off your phone and it doesn't matter about the quality, you
Yeah.
can release stuff daily. But even then, the writing may not be very good. I think some people hit a sweet spot. I saw a sketch comic that I've only seen a couple of his things, but the things I've seen have been brilliant.
Mm.
Um, and he only got big this year, and I saw him say that he put 85 sketches out in 2020, and I was thinking that's probably like that's not to a week, but nearly to a week. You could probably keep a pretty high standard, you know,
Yeah.
doing that amount. Whereas I see people doing daily stuff and they may be very funny people, but like a lot of the stuff is stuff that I would hate to put out. And I hate even saying this because I know that I might be forced to put this level of shit out, like, you know?
Yeah. I think it's the like as you know, as some of the kind of said kind of publishes stuff like creates content. Like I just see you get like you see people like even people that post a lot on Twitter or just do put stuff out there very regularly. Just like it must be tiring to kind of constantly be trying to kind of hit that chord with people and constantly kind of put stuff out. Um, kind of just from your experience of like like people that that other content creators or whatever. Um, you're very much you think it's about kind of hitting that sweet spot of posting kind of regularly, giving yourself a chance to post stuff that could go viral or whatever, but still keeping kind of whatever you want to call it, true to your values and kind of true to
Yeah.
the stuff that you like to produce.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's basically the case. I've talked with a lot of comedians about this, and there's a lot that kind of everyone has their own different idea. I think most people would want that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Like I know people though that like they prefer to put something out once a month because they'd be so particular, you
Yeah.
know, rather than even doing weekly. So but the way media is now, you have to be releasing a lot unless you are fortunate enough to already be big, you know.
Yeah.
So especially then as well, you're like right now, obviously the only platforms that seem to be good for like for normal reach are like TikTok and LinkedIn. And obviously LinkedIn is the worst platform that has ever existed in my life. I can't understand people and their LinkedIn's. It's ludicrous. Um and then TikTok is like, I mean, I'm just starting to do TikToks now. I tried to avoid it, but like I don't know. I'm sure you can definitely do very funny stuff on it, and I've seen funny stuff on it, but it's I don't know about that app at all. I'm sorry, I'm not giving you great stuff here.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So what was your kind of so say, yeah, I was kind of looking through a lot of your YouTube videos and stuff there, and the kind of the different sketches and different songs. What if you had a niche or whatever, what would you kind of describe your favorite kind of content to produce, or your favorite platform, whether it's videos or songs or whatever? What do you think is your kind of favorite niche to work in?
Um, I like. I think musical comedy is basically my niche because it's like I've always really liked sketch comedy and musical comedy. But I like in performance, you would do quite a good mix of stand up, but particularly for online stuff,
Mm,
you're definitely talking kind of musical comedy and just sketches, really. Um, yeah, that's pretty like in
yeah,
terms of what I've been interested in. Like, I mean, Stephen Lynch when I was a kid was a big influencer. Like Tom Green was a huge influence, and like comedians like Nathan Fielder, which is again kind of a bit like Tom Green in some ways. That's actually that is my favorite style of comedy. I don't know if you know
yeah.
Nathan Fielder or Nathan for You. Um,
No, not familiar with them.
he's a very awkward sketch comedian. Well, sketch like he kind of does reality shows. People think they're in a reality show, but they're in a comedy show. But he's just a very awkward person, um, and he's just very good at like you know setting situations up and camera angles. He was an executive producer on Who Is America, um, and yeah, Nathan for You I think is a show I would think everyone should watch. I think it's the best comedy in like the last decade, like without
Okay.
a shadow of a doubt. Um, I would say Nathan Fielder, Tom Green kind of sketch stuff is actually what is my favorite thing that I would nearly hope to do. But it's harder and harder to even do like content like that because that requires, I think, more long form than what people's attention spans are for social media anymore. I mean, I put up a video and just for Christmas, and my friend messaged me saying he thought it was unbelievable, but it was 1 minute and 20 seconds, and it was like 40 seconds to get to like the funniest part, like, and I
Yeah.
and I should cut it down. But in my head, I was like, but there's too much context built up. It's like you can't watch 1 minute and 20 seconds now. You know what I mean? You think it's brilliant, but it would be more retweetable if I made it like shorter. And it's like, but you like,
Yeah. I was
it's
I
like
was
we're stuck in vines now, like.
yeah. I was talking to someone the other day actually about they haven't watched the US Office, and they were watching US Office clips that were just kind of coming up on Facebook, and I was giving out to them saying I think that show in particular is just there's so much character development that like the punchlines and the jokes are even funnier when you get to kind of know the build up of the characters and the development of the characters. So even though you're getting a kind of a funny, a laugh off a punchline, I'm like, no, but the whole thing is, understand the characters in depth so you can kind of get the deeper meaning of the jokes, or the funnier side of the jokes, whatever. But yeah, I said people like going, so that's someone going from watching a few seasons to watching like a 3 minute clip. And you're saying now that people are even saying a 1 minute 20-second video should be cut
Yeah.
down so people can get the punchline more.
Yeah, I know, like absolutely, and I've actually made that exact point about The Office before. Um, yeah, it's and there's several times you think of a good idea and you realize you would need like that this idea would be funniest in a situation where you have time to develop a character,
Yeah.
and I suppose you just have to you know find strategies around it and do the best you can. I mean, there obviously is ways you can make hilarious stuff on TikTok
Yeah.
while still playing within the boundaries that they set to be able to be good on their algorithm,
Yeah.
like one thing I noticed straight away, and then I did a quick search, is that like TikTok, if you are bringing in videos from like from video editors, they just don't like that. And I mean, I've seen
Mm.
pages that clearly are doing that are doing well. Like there are pages that just reshare the Savage Eye, like,
Yeah.
but I think like I even in my own little tests, as soon as I was bringing in stuff, like if I record something straight on the camera, like it will go. And then I put in one or two stuff that I since deleted that after hours there was like 0 on the view count. And it was like, you're not actually showing this to anyone at all. You
Yeah.
know, something has been flagged in this content and you didn't show it to anyone in like 8 hours. So I'll just delete it because it's obviously not working with your algorithm.
Yeah, so that's just I said that's issue just trying to play to the platform and maximize your kind of return from each individual platform, I suppose.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of what we were saying earlier about the going viral element, where I said, if you want to go viral, it's got to be a TikTok, or it's got to be like, a 30-second video that people can kind of watch. Whereas if you want the better build up or the longer kind of form stuff, it's it's either a longer YouTube video or a comedy episode or whatever. But obviously there's still a time and place for that kind of comedy, I assume, and it's still people still want to watch that kind of stuff as well, though, I assume.
I hope so. I hope so, because that's what I prefer,
Yeah.
And I think it's necessary and it's needed. Like, yeah, I mean, platforms obviously changed. Who knows? I think YouTube, obviously, just you can stick on YouTube and hope YouTube continues to be okay, because Facebook and Instagram are gone to absolute shit. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to swear on your podcast, but then I said shit earlier, so I was like, might as well say it again, like,
You are, yeah, you are.
Um, yeah, but Facebook and Instagram, I mean, I remember actually it was right after the viral video. I'd say I can count myself either lucky or unlucky in this, in that it was right after the viral video that Facebook completely changed their algorithm. It was like a week later,
Oh,
which actually put loads of businesses under and everything, because they weren't able to get organic reach. And they had been so platform dependent, like, and I mean, for me, you can say it's unlucky that any follow-up stuff I put on Facebook was just not being put out there with organic reach, unless I was willing to pay for like people that followed me to see it. But also you could say I'm super lucky that if
yeah.
this change had been brought in 2 weeks earlier, it wouldn't have been a viral video. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, on the something that I've always kind of been interested in. I think it's this kind of entrepreneurial idea. Always, everybody's always thinking about the next big thing, or something that this kind of zero to kind of massive success idea, something that always kind of plays in people's minds. And a viral video is kind of a good example of something like that. Um, how much benefit kind of ends up being derived from kind of a one-off video, or how much do you how do you think what do you think is the best way to make the most of so as I said, you're a comedian, you're producing content, and then you just you release this thing that gets millions and millions and millions of views, everyone's talking about you, everyone knows about you. What do you think is the best way to kind of to play that situation, and how do you make the most out of your viral content?
I would say if it's super huge, I would say hire an assistant for that week,
Okay.
because the stuff you could do in that week would make back the money. Like, for example, like it was too full on that I really, really couldn't do any more than what I was doing. I was sleeping like 3 or 4 hours a night, and then I was like getting emergency dental at 7 a.m. in the morning in London, and then running to like Norwegian news, and then after that going to like a French paper and stuff like that, running around London. And the amount of opportunities I missed as a result of that, like just seeing loads of people selling merch with the song and things like that. And it's just like, why didn't I just put out a merch design,
Yeah.
in that week? Because in that week, when everyone's all like impulsive on it, like you probably would have made an absolute killing. So you could, if you hired an assistant for that week, you'd probably get your money's worth for sure, just by being able to capitalize on things a bit more. That is one thing I would say. I mean, I think it definitely was it was a huge help. It brought me a lot of good stuff, like,
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's Yeah, I'm trying to. What was the frame of the question? What's the best way to derive value?
So I suppose it's what do you think is the best way to make the most out of just a once-off viral video, should we say?
Um, like it obviously depends on your like longer term goals, because like my longer term goal, particularly at the time, I was very focused on getting better at actual stand up and like live performance, and I was more like I could have spent more time trying to get Kevin gigs or trying to get Liverpool related stuff. I got quite a lot of stuff, but I didn't really go asking at all for any of that. I just took things that came in. If you really, really, really wanted to capitalize, you probably go right down that niche and go hard on it.
Yeah.
You know, whereas at the time I was delighted at myself that I was like able to like, I was getting to a point where I was doing 5-6 gigs a week in comedy, like, you know, and that might be traveling up the country to do some 15-minute spot, like, you know, I mean, I'm definitely not saying I was I wasn't the most efficient that way in like trying to capitalize on the Liverpool thing directly. I still did quite a bit, but it definitely just depends on what your goals are, like.
Just on what you said about the hiring an assistant for the week. I wonder, is there anything if you set up kind of a consultancy agency or company to offer to people who go viral, so it's like if you go viral, you contact this kind of consultant or whatever.
I mean, that could work. Like, you'd be working with a lot of interesting people then as well. Like, you know?
Yeah, and it's you never know who your next client or whatever is going to be. And I'd always an idea of maybe this out of this video, hopefully, you know, out of this podcast, we might get this. But how a viral video on how to go viral, and you go viral from that video telling people how to go viral. That was the kind of the self-perpetuating kind of
very
thing.
Meta.
So the video itself and the song itself, how much do you think the character of Kevin Murphy added to it? Like the song itself is so catchy, it is so good, but how much of a success do you think it would have been if it didn't involve the Kevin Murphy character?
It was all Kevin, really. Like, I mean, it really was all Kevin. It was like I was kind of just so much luck in it, really, because it was a case where I didn't actually put time into this thought or idea at all. I was only doing it as productive procrastination because I was hitting a block and trying to write for a comedy gig that night. And I was like, look, if I do this stupid video, you know, so it was like a one take thing with just the idea. And, you know, to the point where, because it's definitely Kevin's whole expression. It's first of all, people are like, look at the state of him, but he seems like a really nice guy, you know? So there's that. There's like that poor guy, and what is he actually doing? But then there's like, you know, he's like a little bit of a fun. The way he's just, I mean, I'm thinking in my head, like, I obviously every chorus, I think I wanted to have some type of progression. So that's why I'm, you know, the first time obviously is, you know, but that don't matter at all, actually. Like, things like it needed all of that. Like, it absolutely needed all these little extra Kevinisms, like, and obviously he brings in the shaker and stuff like that. I think it's all Kevin, really. It needed, obviously I can't say that, because if the song wasn't catchy in the slightest, then, you know, it's a combination of everything, but like, it definitely needed Kevin. I don't think you could be a serious person with that song, or even like, you know, I think also it helped that people like most of the views when it went viral, like the video I have that has 5 million. I remember the Monday after the Man City match, that still only had like 100,000, and this has already been gone full viral, because they originally it was all re-uploads that were and it's so annoying because some people are putting up re-uploads and claiming they own the video, which is like, it's way more annoying. It's so exceptionally annoying. It definitely helped that people weren't able to link it back immediately to a comedian, so it allows them to continue their fantasy that this guy could be real. You know. And I
Yeah.
think that was like probably the biggest thing in the sharing of it, because why do people want to share? Because they're like, no way, no, he seriously is real. Like, you know, if it's like immediately linked to a comedian, there's, I'd say probably 20% of the interested people you know,
Yeah.
20% interested relative to what was
Yeah.
interested. Like,
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think yeah, I remember my first time watching it, and I definitely thought I thought it was real, and I was just like, oh, Jesus, this Cork fella, and then I can't remember the point that I realized it wasn't real. I think Alex, our mutual friend, might have said it to me or whatever, but yeah, it definitely got me, and I think that's testament to your own acting performance. As you said, the development of the character, the Kevin Murphy, is such a believable, such a real kind of character. You know, this football fan from Cork. It makes total sense.
it's just we've grown up around this, you know what I mean? It's in somewhat it is me, you know. It's
Yeah,
like you it's so that's why it was like an easy one to do, because it's kind of just like a natural
yeah,
kind of reflex to do a character like that when you live in Cork, like. And even like, I mean, the Cork's biggest Liverpool fan. That's another thing as well. It's, you know, it's such a preposterous
yeah.
statement to. It's such an absurd thing to actually
But,
claim, you know.
but,
And
but
but you've heard people claim that.
yeah,
I remember used to go to like a Liverpool supporters bar. It used to be called Brannigan's. Before that, it was Nevada Smith's. And like there was like the official Liverpool supporters club, which were the worst supporters of all time. They were like singing for Jurgen Klinsmann
yeah,
if Rafa lost a match, and they sold a ticket to Istanbul to a travel agent. They were like the worst. And then there was actually real Liverpool fans who weren't in that club, kind of in two factions.
yeah,
You know, I was with the real fans, like, you know,
yeah,
and it was literally like the official supporters club dudes would get drunk, and there'd be like arguments and stuff, and like basically heard people arguing over who's Cork's biggest Liverpool fan, like, you know. No,
I
I'm
love.
Cork's biggest Liverpool fan. It's just like, no, I'm probably like 15. I'm just like, they can't be serious.
Yeah,
They're like mid to late 40s, if not 50s, like, you know.
yeah. I think that the idea of just the idea of being Cork's biggest Liverpool fan. I think it's both a very Cork thing and a very Liverpool thing, where it's something that I think Cork people, you could see taking particular pride in that kind
Yeah.
of in that line, you know. So it just yeah, like just another element of it that was just spot on. Like Cork's biggest Liverpool fan, just such an easy slogan to use to kind of represent this guy, and then it's just it fits so well.
I love it too, because I have now claimed that for me, and I get to
Yeah,
be that. It's accepted. It's accepted in the world right now that I'm Cork's biggest Liverpool fan. It's like, it's absolutely
yeah,
amazing.
the yeah. So like you are a big Liverpool fan, a big football fan, aside from the Kevin Murphy and the video kind of side of things.
Oh God, I know.
Yeah,
I'm a pretty huge Liverpool fan.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Second only to Kevin and Cork, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the kind of the process of the video. So City are playing Liverpool on the Sunday. You released the video on the Tuesday night, is that right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah,
I recorded it and released it on a Tuesday,
yeah,
and then it was Wednesday morning. I kind of woke up, and it had started to go viral then, but like it was Empire of the Cop shared it on Facebook, and it kind of got bigger throughout the day. And then Thursday, that was Wednesday. Oh, then I flew to Amsterdam that day, that evening. My plan was to go back to Amsterdam, and I was looking for a new place, staying with my friends. Um, and the Thursday, I get a call from BBC Radio One for the lunchtime show to go on that on the Friday, and then I get like a message on Twitter, uh, from the booker of Soccer AM. And then Soccer AM called me, and that one was insane, because like I used to watch Soccer AM religiously when I was a teenager. Like, you know, it was
yeah,
literally my favorite show. Like, so it was pretty class. I remember I was just like lying on the floor. I was like, I actually can't believe this. Like, it kind of got bigger then every day. Crazy enough, because it like you think it's big, and then the next day it's like, oh no, it's actually like international viral. And then Soccer AM on the Saturday made it bigger, and then how did it actually happen that they actually all scored? The three players I sang about in the song all scored in the match. City were unbeaten up to this match too, if people remember. And there was a sadness about Liverpool just before that song due to Coutinho leaving. And they're genuine. Like, I was also being genuine in that. The reason I thought of this thing is because it's just like, Salah was playing class. It was just the starting of that like trio being class together. And they just went on from strength to strength. So it was kind of like, I mean, to be honest, did I really know that Coutinho leaving, we'd end up becoming way better? Yes, I did.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's just everything just fit into play. It was just stars aligning kind of stuff that is just, there's too much stuff that had to go right that did go right,
Yeah. I think though, as you said, I definitely remember kind of around that period, Liverpool were like losing Coutinho was a big loss. Like I was always a fan of Jurgen Klopp, but trying to kind of think back of my perception of Liverpool kind of a few years ago. I definitely thought it was like, didn't think much of him. I said Salah was going well, but I think you definitely hit the nail on the head. Is like the three lads. I just looked at the starting 11 they had against City from that game. So it was January 2018, and the front three was the same. They'd Wijnaldum playing, they'd Robertson playing left full, but then other than that, it's kind of a whole new team. Trent was on the bench. They different centre halves. They carry us in goals. So it's definitely Liverpool have seriously gone from strength to strength since then. And, did that song inspire all that? I'm not saying that, but who knows?
It lifted spirits temporarily so that we could kick on.
I think so. Yeah. That so like the kind of the days and weeks following that. What were they like? I know you, as I said, you got in Soccer AM. You'd loads of media events. You got over to Anfield, all that. Just kind of, what were some of your highlights from the kind of the days and weeks following the video?
There's a few, and obviously it's the type of thing that it was a bit of a whirlwind. Sometimes you just remember something that you forgot, completely forgot happened. I think like Soccer AM is probably the biggest one, really. You keep revising it though. It was pretty cool that when I was on the Ray Darcy show, it was actually Shane McGowan's 60th birthday. So I was backstage with Shane McGowan. That was a pretty awesome, awesome random thing that came with it. I did a thing for US TV for the Barca Champions League semi-final, and the whole experience of doing that was pretty awesome. Just, I mean, the crew were incredibly sound. Basically, it was, if you can remember, the match that we won 4-0. Before that match, they flew me over to Liverpool and we recorded like a bit before their Champions League coverage.
So is this a year after, or is this? Yeah. So they're 3-0 down from the first leg, isn't it? And yeah.
And that kind of everything with that went perfect. I'm kind of surprised it didn't. I'm not really like it did well in, like it did well on their terms. It was like Bleacher Report live, and they said it was the best performing clip they had all year. But it still was like, it did nothing basically UK or Ireland. It probably was just more America, but it was basically shown before their coverage, or shown during their coverage of the Champions League semi-final. And there is only one US broadcaster, so that was pretty cool that was shown. But I basically did another song, and I predicted that we were going to beat Barcelona. And I got to like play in the Cavern Club with like, they filmed it in the Cavern Club, so there's like a crowd in the Cavern Club, and you're in. It's just pretty cool. You're just like, this is where the Beatles started. I get to do this whole video thing here, and we went around Liverpool recording different shots. The whole day was just a lot of fun. I kind of had great rapport with the presenter as well. So I think that was probably that was a pretty sweet weekend.
Yeah, yeah. The good timing again as well. The fact Liverpool came back and won the game is pretty. What what do you make of all these things just
Have you
working out?
heard that song? Have you heard that song?
I don't think so. Yeah, I looked at some of the songs on the YouTube page. I'm not sure if I don't think I came across
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
see, I don't think that was uploaded to my
Yeah,
YouTube.
okay.
No, I'll tell you because I was like, I thought that was a pretty good one. Uh,
Yeah,
considering that we did come back, it was to Dancing Queen, so it was we're gonna beat Messi by more than 3 in the Champions League. Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. Joel Matip, dance for me, and we'll keep a clean sheet. Oh yeah. And if they score because they dive, we will just go and score 5. We will come back from 3, just like Turkey, winning the Champions League. And then at the end, for no reason at all, I just go, Stevie G. And it was pretty cool because we had a xylophone as well, and like the presenter was like my hype man on stage playing the xylophone with the dun dun
yeah,
dun. It was I love that video, to be honest. I thought
yeah,
that was
yeah.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, let's have a look at that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Top prediction again. Yeah, they came back and won the game. Then that's just yeah, excellent time.
There's
I'm surprised.
there's
So
a load of random. I'm trying to think like another one that I remember. I was at the World Cup in Russia with 2 comedians, and we are standing outside like a metro kind of entrance thing, and just start hearing in the distance until eventually 3 lads walk up and they're singing the song, singing my song in Russia in St. Petersburg. And like I jumped in between them and started like doing it, and they didn't even realize. They just thought I was a random dude. They never realized. It was just like, okay, you're singing
yeah,
my song, bastards.
do you have you ran into many of those occasions where someone kind of recognizes you, or you just hear people singing the song, or
Yeah, no, you get it. Like it's sometimes you get it lots in like a 2 week period, and maybe it's just like how I look.
yeah,
If I'm
yeah, yeah,
doing more Kevin videos at the time, then I might have the mustache shaved uh and stuff like that. Like, but like it's obviously at the start for a while it was like all the time, but obviously kind of tapers off. Like you still get it every now and again.
yeah.
But the best one I got was in Edinburgh at the Fringe Festival. A guy comes up to me and he goes, "No offense, mate, but you look like the guy who did the Liverpool song."
No offense, no offense. Don't.
Yeah, I was like, it's the only way you could have made that offensive.
The irony. Yeah. Do you ever walk around Cork in your Liverpool Joe? If you're ever feeling down and just feel you want a bit of attention from kind of random people, if you fans, do you ever walk around Cork in your Liverpool outfit?
No, definitely not. Um, I only be see outside in that outfit if I really need the footage. I
Yeah.
was thinking like I was thinking about my own like routine of doing stuff here, and I obviously other like work that I'm doing. So I was trying to think of like the best way to do a routine. I was like, okay, like when I go on a walk, I could maybe record stuff then. I'm like, I can't actually dress up as Kevin if I'm doing more Kevin content, which I am going to start doing. I can't be walking around Dublin dressed in the full Liverpool tracksuit just because and holding out some like selfie stick recording myself. you know
Yeah.
I'll try avoid that for as long as I can anyway, but who knows, you might see me eventually resort to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you a fan of extras, Ricky Gervais?
I actually I love Ricky Gervais, but I've only seen clips of extras.
Yeah, yeah. There's a scene in the second season of that just after he kind of goes, gets kind of popular, where he's at the bar and he's purposely kind of saying that the catchphrase just to get people to hear it, so he can kind
Oh
of get to it. So it's that kind of that cynical idea of he's like, no, I don't want the attention, I don't want the attention, but deep down he really does.
yeah, no, like you want the sweet spot of it, because
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it like at the start, like when it was like lots, see, like at the start, you'd actually have something to do, you're like,
Mm.
I need to get here. And like, it's kind of fine usually with pictures because it's quick enough. But then there's people like, oh, please sing the song. And it's like, if I start singing this song, then that's going to alert so much people. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah, you want the sweet amount. You want it to happen when you are out on a Tinder date or something.
Yeah.
And you want to be really sound to them, but still have them, like be all in love with you or something. It'd be great.
Yeah.
That usually isn't what happens. Usually it's, when you're rushing and you're late for some late for a job interview, and then it's like an 8-year-old child, and you're like, oh God, I suppose I have to sing this song,
Yeah. Just as a Liverpool fan, and just as a fairly kind of normal enough guy, going over, getting to meet the Liverpool team, meet Jurgen Klopp, kind of less from the kind of media standpoint and more just the actual Liverpool standpoint. How did you find that, and how did you enjoy that?
I'm gonna actually bring a media bit into this because it's a fun fact. I got a WhatsApp from a guy on the Mirror. Maybe I shouldn't say his name, so you might edit that out. So
Okay.
someone, I don't know, I don't care, you can definitely leave it in, like, but I don't know.
Okay.
But a journalist from the Mirror, I got like a WhatsApp, and it was like this utter nonsense, like, oh, like, first of all, he was going out with the sister of a girl I went to school with, and that's how he got my number. And he was like, hey, he's from like the Mirror UK. Hey, I'm so and so from the Mirror. Oh, we just think it's great what has happened. We heard that you get to meet the team. We think that is fantastic. The Mirror would like to send a camera crew along to record your experience. And I was like, no, actually, to be honest, I don't really know if that would be okay with the club. So I really don't want to do that. And they replied being like, that's okay, we can ask the club for you. And I wrote back, I was like, no, I actually don't want to. I don't want your camera crew here at all. Like, of course I don't want to. Hey, Liverpool, by the way, I brought a red top newspaper with me here. That's how I roll.
Yeah. I think that
and then when I said that to him, he said the best part. He said, would you be willing to wear a GoPro on your head? Like, I don't know. I was thinking, does he think I am Kevin, or do they just try this with everyone because they're like, we might get something,
I think it does kind of just go back to what we were saying earlier, where if you want to just go absolutely all out on capitalizing on this from every angle and trying to whatever make as much money or go is just try and make as much as you can out of it. I'm sure, and I'd imagine there's some people, less grounded people than yourself, that when something like this happens to them, they just they love that they think, geez, the Mirror now want to send a camera crew, that must be great, and I'm a real celebrity. And it's so like I can see it from both points of view. I personally would definitely be thinking similar to yourself, where you're like, this is a pretty cool experience, this is something I want to enjoy, I don't want this fucking camera crew like following me around.
Yeah, can you imagine if I wore the GoPro on my head and I'm meeting Mo Salah and I'm like, let's go, Mo, don't mind this there. It's I mean, absolutely. There's actually loads of stuff like that. You kind of forget half of it. There's loads of random messages from people asking there's some funny ones. There's a guy wanted me to record like a video. He was trying to sell life-size cutouts of Salah, Mane and Firmino and target the communion market. And he wanted me to do a song with the 3 cutouts, and he said I would even be able to keep the cutouts. That was his payment. He wanted to pay me in cardboard cutouts of Mane, Salah and Firmino, and I was like, man, I'm a stand-up comedian. Like, as in, first of all, I definitely don't want to be selling that shit to kids anyway. I don't, I haven't lost the Irish kind of shame of kind of promotion yet. I mean, you might have to, because you nearly have to as an artist these days to actually make ends meet, but like, obviously you see American creators that have no problem. They're like, and this sponsored by, but yeah, I obviously don't want to be even seen kind of doing that. But then he offers me 3 cardboard cutouts that I would need for his video. You know?
yeah, that yeah, I think it's just social media and just this you know this kind of click culture. I definitely think, yeah, I agree with you. I think the kind of Ireland or kind of Europe is definitely less there seems to be a bit more, call it shame or whatever you want to call it, but yeah, geez, in America it is just like absolute, but it's kind of good in a way, because it is literally shameless, and everyone kind of is. It's like, oh yeah, well, that's just the way it is. Everyone's trying to sell you something now. Everyone's trying to promote their product, and it's just kind of like, just get over it. That's the way the world is. So I can kind of, I understand
No,
it.
I totally. I mean, there's a lot of American creators that I love, and you just accept it and you go, that is
Yeah,
the way it is. And there, like, when it is so hard to actually make money as a creator, when there is
yeah,
like there's so much scams or just people trying to make money as a middleman or whatever, and it is always the creator that gets screwed. Like, so,
yeah.
like, they shouldn't be blamed because they have to do this stuff, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. So when you were meeting all the lads, who's your anyone, any standout or any meetings that particularly went well? Were they like did
Oh
they?
yeah. So it was yeah, but as a Liverpool fan, it was amazing actually to
Yeah,
answer that original question. It was insane. Like, because now you get like, I mean, when Mane walked out, he just started bursting his whole laughing because I was dressed as Kevin. Like, so that
yeah,
was like that was probably the
brilliant.
highlight, is that Mane recognized me and started laughing, like really properly laughing. So he must have found it hilarious. So I love that.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah,
Klopp was sound. He gave me a big hug. Like, ran over and was like, "Oh, it's the man of the moment." Just absolute Klopp energy. He obviously just is exactly how he seems, you know. Really, really nice guy. I talked to Mo for quite a bit and made a bit of a faux pas. An Egyptian friend of mine told me something to say to him that she said was good, and she still claims it's good, but he didn't have a great reaction to it. Like,
okay.
it was fine, like, but I was talking to him and I goes, this also, he must have thought I was actually Kevin, because I actually said, oh, I know some Egyptian. I didn't say Arabic, I said Egyptian. So he's definitely thinking this guy's dumb anyway. And then I was like, I live in Al Azina. And he just kind of goes, like, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, fuck, abort, you know? And I was like, is that bad? He's like, it's not bad. It's not good. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, my friend told me that it was like, it means like, oh yeah, you did really well. And he's like, no, he's like, it's fine, but you shouldn't say this. And like, he was really, really nice about it. He knew it was a thing, but I don't know exactly what it means. I said it to my friend, and she then claimed that her mom says it and it's good, but it can be bad. I think it literally means son of a gun or something, but you know,
Okay.
there's
Okay.
definitely some differences there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough one to. It's yeah, memorable. Memorable interaction at least. It's
Yeah.
something that wasn't just the straightforward kind of hi, how are you kind of thing. So yeah, the fact he kind of thought about it and was like, oh no, I don't think that's good. The like Mane laughing about it is like that's brilliant, because you're, I suppose you're kind of one, the fact that they genuinely like appreciate you and like have heard the song and genuinely find it funny, and they are literally it's Mane, it's Mane, it's Salah, it's the actual like Liverpool players, is just it must be an absolutely amazing
It's
feeling.
insane. Yeah, it's insane, to be honest.
Yeah. So kind of following all that, I said you're still doing some Kevin Murphy stuff, doing other kind of bits and pieces. What's the more kind of general career been like now since then, and where do you see yourself going forward in the future?
Well, I mean, I just did a master's in digital marketing strategy. So I mean, basically, because generally just anything tech and kind of digital is kind of, it's both helpful for, it's what I'm interested in and what I feel it would be good at doing, and then is helpful as a comedian as well. On the comedian side of it, it's like, stand up being gone in the pandemic, it's been a huge blow.
Yeah.
So right now it's just kind of I've only just kind of restarted making kind of comedy content again. I took kind of a bit of a break. I was putting stuff out there every now and again, but I kind of knew that it was getting pointless putting stuff on Facebook and Instagram unless you were like doing two or three a week or something. But now I'm like, yeah, I better do Kevin TikTok. So I don't know. I hope to become champion of that. Of the children's dancing app. So, who knows what I will be doing soon? You know, in 2 weeks' time, I'll be doing some like stupid dance routine, twirling around. You know.
Prior to prior to COVID, was your focus more on the kind of the stand-up side of things? Is that where you kind of saw yourself going? Yeah.
Like, pretty much, because I mean, you also don't put like there's a lot of material I just like unlisted or took offline, and then you don't put like I don't even like, I'm lucky I actually have a recording of the last gig I did, and it was a long gig. It was like a 45-minute slot in Amsterdam. So I'm kind of quite lucky that I can watch that and remember, at least so I have some bit of a flow. Obviously lots of material will change, but it's kind of, that really was what I was kind of focusing on, is just and then running gigs. I mean, I run a night called 350 Comedy. We're kind of just getting started, but we are in a position that as soon as stuff's allowed, we will start again in Dublin. So I think just in terms of the live stuff, that was the focus, but now everything has changed. I think I'll just once the pandemic ends, go back to doing that a little bit, but definitely focus on, like, right now I'm just thinking, okay, I'll do TikTok for a while, and then I was considering basically getting a PS5 and doing Twitch, maybe playing FIFA as Kevin or something. But I need to basically find a new gaff, because I'd imagine if you're trying to stream a PS5, you can't be living with four other people on internet that's not plugged directly in to your PS5, like, you know.
Yeah. I see. But Blind Boys doing a lot of the kind of the playing video games, kind of doing kind of improv music and that kind of stuff. So it's the whole, what do you think of the whole kind of Twitch, the Twitch platform?
Yeah, I actually personally haven't used it yet. I have a few friends on it, and I think it's cool. I've done some stuff on it, like on my friends' kind of podcasts on it. No, I think it's really cool. Look, it's one of the only platforms where you're actually getting an engaged audience.
Yeah.
And obviously then has a subscriber model that allows creators be able to create, like, you know. I mean, one friend of mine passed 50 subscribers that pay her $5 a month, and she hasn't been on it that long. So it's kind of like, yeah, do you know what? Like, if you can build something like that where you have a steady income off it, then obviously that's not a steady income, but she has just started.
After you're getting
in case anyone thinks I'm suggesting
as well, and you know, it all adds up, you know.
No, it's just that obviously there's the snowball effect, and she obviously only makes 50% of that. So I wasn't saying £125 sterling a month that she gets is suffices, but still, it's like, I mean, if I set myself up on that platform and it starts to work, then I definitely wouldn't mind if it's like, okay, 3 nights a week I stay in and do the streaming thing and work it around that, because I mean, I studied animation in Amsterdam. I kind of prefer video editing than animation, but I kind of like doing all that kind of stuff anyway. So if you know, it would be sweet to be in a kind of content-based role anyway, or to do something that you can earn a living from while kind of dabbling between comedy and content editing.
No, that's, it makes a lot of sense. The the kind of the editing side of things and the kind of producing side of things. I said, just kind of looking at some of your videos over the last few days, it's definitely like they're all very well edited, and they're well done. So I think it's something that if you can bring that kind of that whole skill set, there's plenty of opportunity out there, I think. having the good sense of humor kind of helps, and then when you can bring kind of good technical skills, it just I think it kind of shortens the like to get whatever a product to market, should we say, or to get something that people can consume and people can watch and enjoy. Having that skill set of both the creative side of things and the technical side of things should put you in a good position, I think.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Anyway, at least, yeah.
That's the plan.
Yeah, no, it's like I sure hope so.
Yeah.
It would be. I mean, it would be pretty sweet. Like it would be pretty sweet if you actually could just do podcasts all day. That'd be
Yeah,
great,
yeah. I said the monetization side of the the podcast, or the talking shit, or just talking to people. Yeah, it's one of them. It's you never know, but from a very, very, very small podcaster's point of view, yeah, it's just something I think you see what happens. I said I'm definitely not planning on making a living off any of these podcasts or whatever. I think, you know what I mean, you just have to do them for the crack and do them because you enjoy them, and then see where it ends up. And in a perfect world it all works out, but in a more realistic capitalistic world that's not always the case. But sure, fuck it, what could you do?
No, yeah, no, 100%. I definitely agree with all that.
Yeah. What do you think? Liverpool drew at Man United now at the weekend. What do you think is Cork's biggest Liverpool fan? What are your thoughts on Liverpool at the moment?
I'm a very optimistic Liverpool fan. Usually, I'm not the type to. I really hate Liverpool fans that are just fickle and turn on players and use scapegoats and things like that. We went through a very bad patch, and I mean, it's very understandable with a lot of, obviously, the injury crisis. I still think in many ways Klopp has handled it very well. At the end of the day, I know people say Man United had the best two chances, but I think that we have Mane and Salah. Mane and Salah are they're at, like, there's a stat that shows their productivity over their Liverpool career, and it's at a low point for both of them right now. Firmino's low point was in November. Trent's low point is right now, and I just think it's unfortunate all this is happening at once. We're not playing particularly bad. It's just the final third. I know we only dominated the first half against United, but we are kind of at a bare bones. I think it's understandable. I mean, it's understandable and just incredibly unfortunate. I still think that we will kick on. Hopefully Matip can stay fit. If he stays fit from now until the rest of the season, which is probably unlikely, but if he was to do that, I don't even think we're having a conversation about Liverpool's form or anything like that. I think that we've lost so much points now that maybe we might get pipped by City, but I still think it is Liverpool or City. Because I think that they are the ones that will kick on and stay consistent. Like, we still have scored the most goals in the league despite not scoring in 3 games. So yeah. It's just very, very unfortunate. I think Thiago has come in and played very well. I thought Shaqiri played well. Trent had a better game than like usual, so he's improving. Fabinho had a fantastic game, as he pretty much always does in centre back. You couldn't really ask for much more from Henderson.
Yeah.
So when you look, and then Alisson was like pretty much world class. Mane, even though we say the attack is rusty, Mane did look dangerous, and I actually don't think Mane is playing bad at all. I think Salah isn't playing well, and Firmino isn't playing well. And I'm also not the type to usually. I'm a huge Bobby fan, and I think that when he plays well, even though statistically people will say that, oh, he's not getting this amount of goals, he is like the link up that makes that attacking tree perfect. So when you look at it on a player by player basis, and I can't really fault most of them, and I really am of the opinion that, look, if we do just keep creating chances, as Klopp said, they will start going in, they'll get the confidence back. And there's the fear as well in the other team. We don't have, Origi, like, we bring on Origi, we put him out wide. Could be because he's obviously fresher, but also it's like you'd still trust a Mane after 90 minutes if he gets the ball in the center to put it in a lot more than Origi. Then that, like, the only thing is, I think maybe if it was possible to, like, if we're not going to sign a centre back, the other area I think that we're weak in is having that depth up front. That obviously Jota offered it, but even with Jota, it would be nice to have kind of one more, or it'd be nice to exchange Origi, who I think we don't have the faith in, with someone that we do. So it's a very long-winded answer. I kind of went through the whole team there, but you do have to explain yourselves nowadays, though, because people kind of want you to be like, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong. And realistically, I don't think there's a lot wrong with Liverpool. We just had a bad patch, and I think we will kick on. But it's, just got to hope that Matip and Jota get back as soon as possible and that we get our confidence back.
Yeah. No, I think that's all very fair. Yeah. I said, yeah, like I think a big problem with not just Liverpool fans, but like football fans in general, I said it's just so quick to I said, to turn on players or to criticize players, or there's so much variance and so much noise going on. And when guys are performing out of their skin, people just expect that every week, and that's just it's not practical. With Liverpool specifically, I think I think Klopp is an absolute, that's a massive thing. Still, the best manager in the world for me. So I think as long as you have Klopp there, that's absolutely massive. You were saying about the kind of bringing in a striker and maybe another forward. Would you be thinking kind of a squad player, or like I definitely think it would be nice to see Liverpool go big in the near future now on getting in a really top kind of forward.
I mean, if that's possible, I would definitely go with that, because then it just means we're supremely better. It's just that you don't really, when you hear Origi's coming on, like he's done a lot for us in terms of scored big goals and will be a legend, a cult hero forever for doing that. But like, you hear Origi's coming on and you don't think, come on, you've got a chance, you still go, come on, like, but you don't really believe it, And Jota did offer that a bit, like, but I mean, Minamino, I think, is just, he probably needs to put on more strength to make it in the Premier League. And Klopp is someone that has taken his time to blood in players. Like Fabinho didn't play for the first couple of months when he arrived. So I don't think Minamino is in any way off course. I think it might have been expected that it would be a long blooding process of Minamino. Shaqiri has just been out of favor for a long time. He doesn't seem to like him, but I mean, he did play him the last time, and Shaqiri played very well. So I in terms of an attacking player, I just think that if you're down to where we are right now, then it would have been nicer if we, like, someone that is maybe a class finisher, or just something that offers something that you would have more faith in than Origi right now. Would be, I mean, obviously if we get a top, of course I want Mbappe or Haaland, that'd be amazing. Like, but I don't, I don't see the front three being broken up. So even just a super sub that you have faith in would be great,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think that front three, they just, over the last few years, they just work so well together. It's such a, like, individually, like, I think on average, I still I take Mane as kind of the best player of the front three. I just think, like, Salah, when he's kind of on form and his kind of dribbling is on point, I think I think Messi's the only one that's kind of comparable with him, just for the kind of the close control, working in small areas. But kind of just individually, I think Mane is absolutely top level. But then when the three of them just combine, like they have been in the majority case over the last few years, they just work really well together. And I know Klopp is a big guy he doesn't want to just bring in anyone. It's not a case of he tells the chief executive what he wants and they get one of 5 players. I know he kind of wants specific players, so I assume he'll be taking his time and waiting to kind of identify the right target and bring in the right player.
Yeah, basically I agree with all of that. Mane is, he never plays bad. Like,
exactly. Yeah,
he's always somewhat effective. I thought he played pretty fine in the United game. Like,
Yeah,
he's definitely the most consistent, and yeah, I would put him as the best of the front three. Um, yeah, it's just I don't, it's just hard to know really what. I mean, I do think that they probably are going to replace Origi with someone, but whether it's going to be a super like, it would
yeah,
have been great if you could find some old player that you know is still dangerous for 20, 30 minutes, still instills fear, we should bring him on as a sub, but wouldn't mind not starting the games. Like, that would be the sweet deal, I think.
yeah,
But I don't know. I kind of speculate less and less, or I think about this kind of stuff less and less over the last few years, because the way Liverpool does business is just so different now than
mm,
when you grew up. You was kind of you'd hear about a lot of things that might be happening, but with Liverpool now, it's kind of a lot of the times you hear about a deal being done as it's being done. I think the Fabinho deal was like that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I think one thing, kind of, it's easy to say now, like given Liverpool's success last few years, but going back to even kind of like, I guess, yeah, kind of back the Torres kind of days, like Liverpool's recruitment, I think, has been really, really good, and there's for every whatever, for every ham you get in that people laugh at and joke about, for every Andy Carroll signing or whatever, you know, they do. I think they target, like Liverpool where they were of a team kind of, maybe a top four team, maybe a top six team, but no, they weren't challenging for titles. I think to really try and compete, you have to be going after players that can develop into world class players that either give you a chance of winning something, or you can sell then for 50 or 100 million. So I think the likes of Coutinho and Suarez and Fernando Torres, their recruitment has been really on point for a long time now. And then even in the recent past, like Van Dijk and Alisson are just absolutely spot on boys. So I think you have to just trust them. I know a lot of Liverpool fans are unhappy with the owners and all that kind of stuff, but again, just from what I've seen, I think you have to trust their recruitment policy. It seems to have been pretty good.
Oh yeah, I mean, Liverpool fans unhappy with the owners. I don't know what planet they're on, because like, how can they not remember that we were literally close to administration and what Hicks and Gillette did to us? Uh, I remember, like, I think it was like a Spirit of Shankly AGM or something, and then we went over to like the foyer of a hotel where like George Gillette was like, I suppose, accosted by one of the members of like nothing bad happened, but it was like, I remember those days at the club where it was like dire stuff. And in terms of like, some of the recruitment, obviously some of the players you mentioned is before that, Rafa was building something very, very, very
Mm,
good. But if you look at it, up until the Americans came in, Rafa was building the squad, and then the Americans came in and they wanted to asset strip. And that's like the following, like, was it 2.5 years since they came in? They came in, I think maybe 06 or 007, the year we got to the Champions League final against Milan but didn't win. They came in that year, halfway through that year. From that point on, we had like a negative net spend. Over the next 3 years, we had like a net spend less than 80% of clubs in the championship. Um,
yeah,
and we were building something great then, and it was working. If Rafa was just even just given a little bit to, even if he's allowed to keep so that he doesn't have to flirt with selling Xabi Alonso
yeah,
because he needs to fill something else in after Xabi had a pretty bad season that season. But like, when you don't have money issues or you're not being forced, then you can, say, okay, Xabi's fine here and we'll bring in someone else without needing to try sell him. And then, of course, you've got issues where I think Alonso was very upset with that
yeah,
and used that when he wanted to leave, and it's like, our recruitment was good then. Rafa had a good plan. There was a couple of people that, I think they had Kamoli and they'd like Christian Perslow. It's kind of going through the memory in my head now of what we had before, but
mm,
we, like, it's still somewhat down to the manager. I know there was systems where I think when it was like Rafa's decisions would generally kind of go well. Hodgson was obviously a nuke that we're lucky he brought the club back years, but if he was a month later in his job, he was in the process of trying to get rid of Daniel Agger and Lucas Leiva, which really two players that really love the club and were badly needed to pull us out of anything. And I mean, his argument was he wouldn't play Agger because Agger refused to hoof the ball, and then that became pretty public. It actually became a public thing, and the club was just going to dire straits then. So like FSG came in and steadied us and have put down a model that has allowed us to win the league and Champions League. I mean, I just don't understand how Liverpool fans, like, do they not have a memory of 10 years ago?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think everyone has such short memories, and everyone just wants like instant results. Just
like Roy Hodgson, when he bought Paul Konchesky, he like gave two players away. He gave Laurie Delaval, who was like a bright enough, or no, it wasn't. It wasn't Delaval. It was a guy who played for Bolton. I think he was Bosnian or something, but he was like a full international. He became a full international within a year. I can't remember his name. And he also gave another youth player, it was a Kevin something, and he literally thought it was a different player. He admitted that he thought it was a different Kevin. And it's like, how are you doing it? You're like, he gave a player away that is better than Konchesky within like 6 months, and he's playing in the Premier League and he's an international. And I think he also might have given 5 million for Konchesky on top of that. And you Poulsen, just it's just in terms of recruitment, like Roy Hodgson was able to come in and make horrendous purchases, to giving Joe Cole $100,000 a week. So I don't know, is it actually just that? I mean, the system now with Klopp works, that Klopp has an understanding with the owners. System now works. I think that the time of Rafa was pre Hicks and Gillette, and as soon as Hicks and Gillette came in, we were dodgy for a couple of years, and it took some time for FSG to find the right model, I think. But now I certainly prefer that, and having stability, then
you think so? Yeah, it's probably, that's why I said it's so hard to know how kind of football clubs operate these days, and they all operate differently. That's why. Yeah, I said, when I say recruitment, I don't know if it's people working behind the scenes, if it's chief executives or sporting directors, or if it's the kind of the manager. I think that's, that model of the manager influencing a lot of the transfers is something that a lot of people kind of like and prefer, but I don't know how many clubs kind of work that way. But yeah, you reckon it might be more the kind of the Klopp side of things that's influencing the recruitment at the moment?
Well, I mean, I think that at least it doesn't seem to be, like, I'm sure it is a case where they identify areas and they have several targets, and they probably do a whole psychological profile, I'd say, because Rafa was definitely doing that. And I'm sure they just have an agreed thing that if the right person is available, like, for example, like Van Dijk comes available, and they basically did everything they could, including meeting him in Blackpool a couple of months before. They did everything they could to get him to the club. So I think that it is, if they really believe it's, I suppose, the right player at the right value, then I think they'll go for it. And I think they're fine with that. Like, I don't think it's, because I know another issue with Rafa in the following years was, I think it was a problem that they wouldn't get top prospects and they would get someone else. Obviously, Robbie Keane was an issue. I mean, I loved Robbie Keane, and you can say he's hard done by Rafa. But Rafa's situation is, you're spending my money on a player I don't want. And, like, he had a deal done for David Silva, and they wouldn't front the money, and then they buy Robbie Keane. Like, so you can't, when you think about that, like, like, Rafa did know what he was up to. And if you just, it's, I mean, I'm all for I'm all for managers making the decisions when I trust the managers. I'll trust Rafa over Hodgson.
Exactly. Yeah. I think the trouble with that more generally as well is just managers often pay the price for kind of bad results. So when you have, like you saw that with United's recruitment policy, where you have a manager, you bring in players to suit a certain manager, and then 18 months later that manager's gone. So I definitely understand wanting someone with a kind of more overall longer term view of how to build a team, influencing transfer policy as opposed to just the manager.
Like, absolutely. Um, Sorry, I have nothing more to add to that.
Yeah, yeah. No, we'll call it there. We'll call it there, Richie. Yeah, thank you very much for joining me today. Is there anything you want to plug? Where can people find you? What's the best way to check you out?
Yeah, I suppose just sound, by the way, it was good crack. I suppose Richy, Sheehy, RICHY, I decided to spell my name Richy with a Y because it matches my surname, but it might have been a bad call because it's incredible how like people tag your name wrong, you know.
It makes
Like
you
literally all the
unique as
time, it's
well.
like, but this is how I spell Richie, you know.
Yeah,
They're like
so
saying that to you, and it's like, but my like page is spelled like this, you know. So yeah, I'm Richy Sheehy on pretty much everything. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, now TikTok. Um, I think that's just pretty much the crack, really.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'll throw all the links anyway in the description below. So if you want to see more of Richie, you can check him out there. Richie, thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cool, cheers, man. Thanks a million.